Hello, my name is Audrey Gravesic. I am the founder of Offsite Dirt. Offsite Dirt is a media and event company that showcases all current events, techniques, technology, influence, and it's all about this form of construction that encompasses everything from offsite, whether it be volumetric, modular, panelization, technology. But the other thing is, it's all about education and how we can learn more and build our businesses to a better place so that we can be more efficient and more effective. Offsite Dirt has a two-pronged mission to inform the construction industry and the general public on the intricacies of what's currently happening in this fast-paced, growing offsite construction field. Today, we have Brigitte. And Brigitte, I know I'm going to not master your last name, how much love I have for you. I'm going to actually have you introduce yourself. And overall, we're going to be talking about brand. We're going to be talking about personal brand. What is it? But first and foremost, hello, how are you today?
Hi, Audrey. Thank you for having me, first of all. My name is Brigitte Bojkowsky. Everyone calls me Bridget. And I'm fine today. How are you, Audrey?
I'm good. I'm good. I would love to step in and lean in a little bit and give people your background. And then let's talk about your brand company.
All right. I'm a global and personal branding strategist. I help my clients, whether it's organizations or individuals, to build meaningful branding strategies and build a brand that shines, that breaks through the clutter, that is positioned in a very distinctive and in a meaningful way so that their target audiences they want to appeal to really can resonate with them and connect with them on an emotional level so that they can have a thriving business.
I love that. And for those of us that are in business and we're in my particular world, I'm in construction or offsite construction. A lot of the times we're on site or we're talking with people or we're in my world, I'm consulting. And so when I think about brand, I'm not really sure I understand what that means. What is a brand?
Okay, let's start in general. A brand is really important. Nowadays, having a brand is not an option. It's really something that is essential to compete in the marketplace long term. The question is whether you want to be a commodity, something that is on the market competing on a price. There is a lot of brands or commodities out there that are competing just purely on price. They want to be cheapest, they want to play on masses, they want to play on volume, they want to generate volume. But a brand is not a commodity that is playing just on a price. You are not one more of the same out there in the market. A brand needs to be relevant in order to be considered. It needs to be distinctive in order to be superior up there to ask for a certain price because there is value attached to it. There is meaning attached to it. A brand that is superior, it creates value and it satisfies customers. And a brand is credible. And by being credible means it has a certain amount of expertise in its field. It shows trustworthiness and it is liked by its audience. And a brand is something that you build and never stop. It's a continuous process. It's an involvement. If you stop, others are going to define you and you might not like that. Yeah. So you need to be very much proactive. And a brand, because you asked me, what is a brand? Yeah. It's the sum total of someone perceives you. Perceives you as a person, perceives you as an organization, perceives your products, your services, your causes in a certain way. And Seth Godin says a brand is a set of expectations, memories, stories. Brands tell stories, meaningful stories to appeal to their customers, to connect with them on this visceral level. This is all about storytelling. Everyone has a story. Every brand has a story. And here you also build relationships. And that makes a customer, when they have an idea of who you are, go for you, choose you. Because usually a customer has certain products or service in this consideration set. Yeah? There might be Acer, there might be Lenovo, there might be Apple, there might be different kinds of computer brands, laptop brands, desktop brands out there, but you go for the one that you most resonate with. A brand that tells a story, a brand that really connects with you, a brand that understands what you need, what you want, a brand that knows what kind of problems you solve. It solves for you. That's what you want to go for. And a brand communicates that on all different levels. A brand can communicate on its company level. Let's say Procter & Gamble is a company, but its products are different brands. Tide, for example, is a Procter & Gamble brand, yeah? And then you also have the people that work for you. Those are also brands. The so-called personal brands. That's the humans behind the big corporations that make brands thrive. So those are the persons on an individual level, and they also speak for the organization. So this should not be underestimated. When I think about, I was working in my early days, many years ago, in my previous life for an airline as a flight attendant. Yeah? Flight attendants represent an airline, the way how you communicate, your tone of voice. It's the way of how you service, how you behave. That all makes the brand. So you are endorsing a brand, you're advocating for a brand. You make the customer feel something about the brand. Yeah? And the employees play a huge role in that. So
Agreed. Agreed. I totally agree with you. And it's so great because you gave the overall, right? So now we have a better understanding of what a brand is. And then I love that you also break it down into the individuals that are also a part of that brand and how they communicate and what that maybe it's a lifestyle of what they're advocating for. So in this conversation, I always am interested in finding out what are the 3 steps to starting the process to create. I think it's really important is what you've spoken before about a personal brand, maybe somebody that works for themselves or somebody that actually works for a large corporation or a company. What are the 3 steps to start that process?
yeah, so personal branding is a huge topic nowadays. Sometimes it's not called personal branding. Within an organizational context, it's also called employee branding. It has been out there for long. I remember a time in the early 2000s when I was working with a bank to implement the employee branding system. It was all about employee branding. So it's about the company's vision, the company's mission. Why is the company existing? Why is it doing what it is doing? Based on what values? And then the employee comes in, because an employee is only happy and productive and healthy and can be at its best when the values of the organization with the employee align. Yeah.
And I think that's a big deal, right? We don't think about that. And I think more and more it's becoming a conversation, and more individuals, especially with COVID and being able to work from home and really figure out who they are and take that breath in, finding the missions and the value statement and all of those particular brand identifiers are super important now. I completely agree with you.
Yeah, especially nowadays when we talk about generations. The younger generations, the Generation Y, which we also call the millennials, those are born until the 1996 and 1996 towards now are the Gen Zs, and then the Alphas are coming. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but the younger generation, it's really not just to go to work to earn something, get the benefits.
It's purposeful.
There needs to be some purpose involved. There needs to be a why, a higher purpose, more than just making profits, more than just to have a paycheck. It's really about what I am doing has meaning. There is meaning attached. And it's not only that. You go to work because you want to be part of something. You want to belong to a community. A brand creates communities. A brand makes people safe with sharing their values. It's really about creating a culture we share the same value system. We have different kinds of cultures, but you have organizational cultures and country cultures and all this kind of cultures, but an organization itself is a culture, and that is not to underestimate, because we need to feel comfortable. Just think about walking into a store, let's say Trader Joe's. What do you feel like when you look around the employees? How are they acting with each other? They have a certain culture they live because they're also proud of the products they are selling. They're feeling good. They are good advocates. And we as customers, when we walk in, we feel good if we align with that kind of value system. Yeah, and the same holds where you want to work. There needs to be an alignment of that particular values. So when you are also living who you are and you are aware of who you are, a lot of people, they're not aware of what they actually want, where they actually want to go. They're still searching for the higher purpose. There is a lot of deep soul work involved in order to get an understanding of what do I really want and where do I want to go? What is my vision?
And that's a good thing. That's actually really smart because, like you were saying, I think the younger generation is a little bit more attached to who they are, attached to their heart, know who they are. And now we're seeing that brand identification, culture, all these different specific things that you're talking about are so important. So circling back, if you know who you are and you want to start creating your own personal brand, what are the 3 steps? How do you start that? How do you start it?
Okay, so you started by having a vision. You want to know where you're going. You want to figure out what legacy you want to leave behind. You really have to have a goal that you want to achieve. And that is out there. So your future self, there are nice visualizations out there where you can put yourself into, let's say, 20 years later. How do you want to live? Who are the people that you want to surround yourself? What have you accomplished? Are you the CEO? Are you an entrepreneur? How is your life going to look like? Then in alignment with that, why are you doing that? Why do you want to leave that legacy? What is your higher purpose? Why do you feel you are on this earth? What is your contribution to the world? Why are you doing what you are doing and for whom are you doing it? You need to be clear about that. Yeah? It's your North Star. So that inspires. If you know that, it not only inspires you as a person, motivates you as a person, it motivates everyone else who is surrounded by you. Yeah? This has a megaphone effect.
I love that. I love the North Star effect. I think that's super smart, having your North Star. And I think all of these things, Bridget, all start with really one, as we're both talking, really knowing who you are, like maybe really sitting down and in this time to really think about all those specific things. Think about what your direction is, right?
Exactly. And then I think a very crucial thing is to have that right mindset and then the right field set. Because there is a lot of roadblocks ahead. Very often your upcoming is fraught with limiting beliefs. There's a lot of things that you tell yourself you can't do. You are afraid. It is frightening. I will fail. To reach this vision that you have out there, very often this vision remains as a dream because there is this limiting beliefs that you have you're not overcoming. So you have to push through. You have to really dissolve that in order to make yourself free, to take this lid off, and that is empowering, to push through up there and go out of this box that is limiting you. Get out of this comfort zone. What can happen? You're not up there in a plane that, sorry to say that, because that was always my thing. I'm not up there in, I don't know how many 1,000 feet, and there's an emergency and I might crash. You will not die from a failure. And it's not a failure, it's maybe a detour or a little setback that reminds
or just growth,
or just growth to look at, yeah,
or something you had to learn. I think that's so smart.
Yeah, and it's a learning, and obviously there's a lot of importance in that. It has a great meaning If something pushes you back again, you have to look at it, you have to confront yourself with it, get an understanding, what does this tell me? And there is an answer. Very often we need to let go, but by letting that go, then it can evolve, and then you get the picture, you get the idea what it is, and then you leap, because that is something that you need in order to grow going forward. So you really need to get into the right mindset. And when you have the right mindset, the right thinking, then you are feeling differently. That's the feel set. Yeah, you're feeling differently. That takes you to the next step, that makes you to take action, because without taking action you cannot gain confidence. And a lot of people are missing this confidence. They are lacking in self-worth. And the only thing that you can do is really take action, make the first step, because you see nothing is going to happen. And things very often easier than they seem to be. And then once you have conquered the first hurdle and you say, oh, nothing happened, actually everything is all right, you can move on and take the next step and take the next steps. And that's how you also build confidence. Yeah, and the actions present you with results, and they most probably are positive. So those are the first 3 steps. And then also really stick to your values, who you are. Be true to yourself. We talk here about authenticity. Yeah, authenticity really is the key. And no matter what other people say, be unapologetically. Be who you are. And then when you build your brand, it's very often that we have a certain perception on us, but we need also the perception of other people. So we need to get feedback from other people. What do they think of us? So we need to integrate that to get the real holistic whole picture about us. And once we have that, you basically know who you are. You have understood where your blind spots are, because people show you where your blind spots are. And that's also a beautiful thing, to integrate that. Yeah. And
I love that. I love that. I'm going to highlight some of your conversation. I think all of this is super important, because I am in this space. First of all, it's about mindset, knowing who you are, having a vision. What feeling do you need in order to take action and to gain your confidence? Speak your values and be true to yourself. Also, it's super beneficial, and you've got to realize that when you are getting feedback, to have this holistic approach about who you are, it's out of love, right? We don't need to take it as a detriment or a judgment, but we're only trying to improve ourselves. I think every single one of those points is so valid. And I love that Bridget Brands brings that forth, asks those questions, and starts making us think about this, because this is the world in which we are changing, in which we're evolving. Mindset has so much to do with so many things. And one in particular is your brand, is your personal brand, and your company and your values. All of those things are things we need to identify. And I love that you selected each one of those in such a perfect way, because that is how we are trending and how things are moving. And you can see that through companies like Amazon. You can see it in large organizations like Tesla. You can see it in all these big manufacturing companies, and that's my space. You have hundreds, thousands of people working for your organization. Each one of those individuals has a personal brand, and they need to know who they are in order to be of service, to contribute, and to feel good about themselves. Because like you said, not everything is about the dollars and the cents. Of course, we all should be paid and honored for the work that we do. But I think there's another level of consciousness that's creating a greater world for us to be contributors in, and to take action for who we are.
Exactly. And one more to building personal brands, and also especially as a leader or as a business owner, is to have this vulnerability, because when you're authentic, you are also vulnerable. And vulnerable in a sense that you tell your story that got you there where you are, with all the setbacks and with all the times where you did not feel well, where things did not run perfectly. This is part of your story, and this is part of how it made you what you are, right?
How you evolved there, how you got there, and why you're there.
This is nothing that you need to hide, because it helps also others to identify with you, because it helps others, oh wow, this is a human being. And that is it. It's about the human beings behind all these big brains. They all have these stories to tell. And that's how we connect and see, oh my God, this person went through the same thing. So how did she do that? I want to learn that from her. Yeah? Because we always teach something. We are a little bit ahead of others. We are also behind others because we are learning from them. There's also others behind us. So we want to help them to avoid some of these detours to get there a little bit faster. However, there are certain things that everyone has to go through and experience themselves. That's something we cannot take from. It's ingrained.
It's their journey. It's their journey. Everybody has a different journey. Absolutely.
But there are parts that are not necessary, because when you teach them, when you not only teach but coach them how to do it, then they can get there faster, because there are setbacks anyway on the way they have to do.
So true. I was talking to a colleague yesterday, and it was so interesting. They own a carpet company, and this carpet company has been expanding. It's a carpet cleaning company, actually, and they've had workers there for the last 15 years. It's a generational business. Here's the thing that I thought was so interesting. I think you'll love this, Bridget, is that they started looking at their employees and talking to their employees. And there was one lady in particular that a lot of their workers have maybe some kind of substance abuse or have got paid a lot of money, and then all of a sudden they're out doing something, just spending it. So they started studying their employees and thinking about how they could bring value. So they started talking to them and asking them about their challenges. And this one lady that worked for their company for quite some time has 4 children. And she was just having these difficulties of finding a place to stay, and these difficulties with healthcare and trying to understand how it works so she could take care of her children. This employer took value in that person, trusted the employer to tell the story. And now they're both growing at great, like enormous speeds. Not only have they changed that one person, it's other people's lives that they're changing as well. So I think there's something so important about what your company, Bridget Brands, is doing. And I think it's really important that we start being more aware of where this is going to go, and also to create longevity for our people in our companies. Because if we are helping them, that's a big thing, right? It's about how do we take care of people and keep them.
Exactly. And that is really the issue, because there is a study out there conducted in the US market on Americans who were considering quitting their jobs and why they wanted to make a change. And 48% said they wanted to find a job that better aligns with their values. And another study revealed that 76% of the issues people face at work are people and relationship related. It's people related. How can we care for them? How can we better help them? And it's only 24% about financial or any other technical related stuff. And it's really that companies need to, as you say nowadays, look at how can I retain my talent, because if there is a high fluctuation, then there is something wrong with the organization, and usually from top down. But there is also another study that say people leave because companies don't have this engagement and career development. People do not communicate their vision and their goals, and don't listen to their employees, as what you have mentioned. Yeah, if they would have listened what kind of problem she has, then you would be able to help her. And also the very ineffective leadership. This is another thing. Employees really need to have this and find this fulfillment. And the fulfillment, the purpose of why they are there. And they also want to be in this community. They want to be taken care of. It's being appreciated, being valued as a person, because they're not sitting there just for fun. They're contributing like every day, most of the time during the week, for the company to help them thrive. There needs to be a giving and taking, and there needs to be this alignment of the values. There needs to be the alignment of this higher purpose. The market has changed. And especially during COVID, we have experienced this phenomenon of the great resignation, or however you want to call it, like great reimagination or a great realization, people really start re-examining the role of work and in their lives. Yeah, and that goes very deep. It's not only about switching jobs, it's really about work and their personal life, because they have seen life is not endless, and
Yeah,
they want to get the best out of their life. And
I think
then they
that's so
take this
great.
action, right? They take action
Hmm.
and say, okay, I don't want to do this. I find another company where I am valued. Or I start my side hustle because I don't want to go to work every day. I want to be free. I want to work on my own schedule. I want to earn my
I want
own
to
money.
speak my values. I want
I
to
want to
be
speak
true
my
to who I
values.
am. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I would like to say something else about personal brands within organization, because this is really important. If you are being valued and if you are feeling safe and happy and inspired and motivated at your workplace, another study found out that when employees share brand messages on Insta, on Facebook, or wherever you are, on TikTok or something like that, yeah, posts have 561% more reach than when it just comes from a post of a company and from the corporation, from the corporate brand. And posts by employees that are shared are 24 times more frequently shared than by a post that is coming
The
from a
company
company.
brand itself. So that's pretty
Now
interesting. So,
think about what reach that has. And people
right.
believe, individuals like you and me, yeah, someone who feels like, ah, she's like me.
Yeah,
It's much more trustworthy. You believe in that much more if other than a company communicates a message.
absolutely. You can definitely connect, right? It's about
Yeah,
connecting and knowing
yeah,
that brand
yeah.
is valued or connected with you. I think that's huge in
Yeah,
understanding.
and especially not only from the employees, but CEOs are also personal brands, as we know. Elon Musk, we have Jeff Bezos, just to name the two of them, yeah? But in fact, 82% of people surveyed said they are more likely to trust a company its senior executives are active on social media. And 77% of consumers are more likely to buy when a CEO of the business uses social media. So you see how important personal brands are. A
They need
lot
to
of
get in touch with you. How do they find you? How do they find you, Bridget? How do they
okay.
find Bridget Brands and start thinking about, I need to contact this company. I need to start getting real and I need to start making a change.
So you can always contact me via my email address. It's bb@bridgetbrands.com, or you go on my website, bridgetbrands.com, and I'm very active on LinkedIn. So you find me there, and I'm sure you're going to put that in the show notes. I'm
Absolutely. I will
communicating
put that
that
in the
one way
show
or
notes.
another. Yeah. I,
Absolutely. And
I
I'm
have,
connected with you too. So we will definitely make sure that
oh
people,
yes,
if
oh yes.
anyone's interested, from a corporate brand to a personal brand to understanding how to get yourself in that space of freedom. I think it's like freedom when you know who you are and where you want to go.
Yes, yes. And it's not only freedom, but you feel like nothing can happen to you. And then you can be really the
Yeah.
real you is there. It just rises out like a phoenix out of the ash. Because there's
It
nothing that
certainly
holds
does.
you back, and there is nothing that can be wrong. Yeah, we are human beings. We make mistakes.
But
Yeah,
we want to
we're human
connect with
beings.
that. That's what makes
Yeah,
us real and that's what makes
that's
it
what makes us
interesting.
real. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Well,
That is
thank
the
you
kind.
so much. This has been completely enlightening. I think there's so many good nuggets of information. Is there anything else you'd like to say in closing?
Say in closing, I would say there is a quote by Oprah Winfrey. I'm a real huge fan of her because she has a wonderful life story to tell, and I'm always looking up to these people and to emulate these people. She says, be yourself, let your brilliance and your hardship show. Be the real you, and others will want to be part of your brand.
Oh, and that is glorious. Well, thank you again for being here on Offsite Dirt. I think it's magnificent that we can grow and we can build our businesses not only through a brand, but educating ourselves on how to create that brand. And of course, Bridget Brands is here to help you. I found her fascinating. I hope you do as well. And we'll look forward to seeing you again on Offsite Dirt. Thanks, Bridget.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you.